In this video, we are going to talk about top 10 strangest things to ever wash up on a beach. An unsuspecting surfer in Japan gets ready to hop in the ocean when he spots an 8-foot fiberglass Lego man washed up on the beach. Residents living on a peaceful island in the Netherlands awake one morning to find the shoreline littered with thousands of brand new tennis sneakers. And a beachcomber in Canada, hoping to find a shark tooth or maybe a piece of driftwood, stumbles upon a Harley Davidson motorcycle with Japanese plates tucked in a storage container straddling the shoreline. Every year items like these wash up on beaches and coastlines all over the world. Often they're the contents of a wayward shipping container that slipped off a cargo ship. Other times, items are swept up in the powerful winds of a tsunami or hurricane before they get tossed into the ocean where they float for months, sometimes years, before appearing on foreign shores. In any case, you never know what you might find scattered across the sand or hidden in a cove. Here's a look at some of the most bizarre, intriguing, and tasty items to have ever washed up on beaches around the world. Number 10. Melbourne Beach, Florida. Mystery Mannequin Sailboat. According to the U.S. Coast Guard, Hurricane Irma, a Category 4 hurricane that hit southern Florida in 2017, wrecked and relocated over 2,000 boats and other large vessels. The most peculiar was a 45-foot sailboat named Kuki that washed up on Melbourne Beach on the east coast of Florida. On September 19, a curious jogger spotted the boat on the beach and noticed what appeared to be a human head, torso, and leg in the cockpit. But when the Coast Guard arrived to investigate, the body parts they found didn't belong to humans, but to a crew of creepy mannequins. It turned out the sailboat was registered to a man in Key West serving time at a Monroe County jail. Why he stashed mannequins on his boat is unclear. In any case, as a local resident and charter pilot noted to Florida Today, that's incredible that they survived that journey in a Category 5 hurricane. Number 9. Navajo Beach, Greece. MV Panayiotis. Famously known beyond the borders of Greece as Shipwreck Beach, Navajo Beach is located on the eastern coast of Zakynthos Island. Tucked away in a cove surrounded by stunning white cliffs and shockingly blue water, you'll find the MV Panayiotis, or MVP, a rusted-out ship that washed up on the cove's pristine beach in the mid-1980s. A popular tourist destination, the origins of the MV Panayiotis shipwreck is shrouded in mystery. According to one tale, when authorities discovered the ship was smuggling contraband cigarettes and booze, they trapped the MVP in the cove until the engine gave out, causing the boat to wash up on the beach. Another theory involves 2 Italian smugglers, contraband cargo, and a greedy captain. When bad weather forced the ship into the cove, the police pounced, arresting the men. The load was seized and sold off at an auction, and the MV Panayiotis was left to rest on the beach. Number 8. Graham Island, British Columbia, Harley Davidson motorcycle. It's not unusual for a beachcomber to find bits of sea glass and the occasional shark tooth. Finding a Harley Davidson night train motorcycle is decidedly more unusual. Yet in 2012, this is exactly what happened to a man named Peter Mark. As he strolled along an isolated beach on Graham Island in British Columbia, Canada, Mark found a Harley Davidson with Japanese license plates sitting inside an insulated storage container. He didn't know it at the time, but the bike had been one of the many casualties of the tsunami that devastated Japan's northern coast in 2011. The bike had been floating in the Pacific Ocean for a year before it washed up on Graham Island. Harley Davidson was able to track down the owner, Ikuo Yokoyama, and offered to restore his bike and ship it back to Japan. However, Yokoyama refused the offer and insisted that the bike be donated to a museum to memorialize the 15,000 people who died in the 2011 tsunami. Today, the Harley is on permanent display at the Harley-Davidson Museum in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Number 7. Panayiotis Beach, North Cornwall, rice cakes. In February 2017, a rowdy storm caused a small ship traveling between the United Kingdom and Ireland to lose 4 storage containers carrying IKEA furniture, power tools, boxes of wine, and 32 pallets of Bunalin Organics rice cakes. Given their light weight, the cakes quickly invaded the shores of Panayiotis Beach in North Cornwall, England. Luckily, Surfers Against Sewage, a marine conservation charity, arrived on the scene once the storm passed and discarded the plastic-bound packages of rice cakes. Unfortunately, the wine never made it ashore. Number 6. Ocean Beach, San Francisco. Tombstones. Moderate water temperatures, fierce winds, and rough waves make Ocean Beach in San Francisco the perfect spot to go kite surfing and skimboarding. But it's well suited to another activity as well: tombstone hunting. In 2014, gravestones with markers dating back as far as 1890 appeared on Ocean Beach after a night of strong winds caused large quantities of sand to shift. The tombstones, it turns out, are tied to a horrifying part of San Francisco history. In the early 20th century, as the city's population boomed, authorities closed most of the Chinese, Catholic, and Jewish cemeteries to make room for housing developments. Tombstones were sent to the landfill, used to create breakwaters and seawalls, or broken apart to line gutters, and some were dumped into the San Francisco Bay. Over the last few years, the gravestones have appeared and disappeared according to the weather. But don't worry if you happen to visit Ocean Beach and stumble upon a tombstone. When the bodies that once belonged to the stones were exhumed, they were relocated to Colma, a town located 503 miles north of Ocean Beach. Number 5. Dye Beach, Australia. Lake Balls. Dye, famous for its spectacular New Year's fireworks display, is one of Sydney, Australia's many family-friendly beaches. And while most of the year its sands are covered in footprints and striped beach umbrellas, in 2014 locals awoke to find thousands of furry, golf-sized green balls scattered across their beloved shore. Soon, scientists confirmed that the spongy spheres were rare lake balls, made of free-floating algae that's been tossed around in rough currents. Sydney isn't the only place with lake balls. Since 1950, the indigenous Ainu people in Hokkaido, Japan, have held a yearly festival, complete with a torch procession, in honor of the balls. The Ainu call the balls marimo and believe them to be a natural treasure. Number 4. Cocoa Beach, Florida. Fragments from the Challenger. 73 seconds after taking off from Cape Canaveral, Florida in 1986, the Challenger spacecraft exploded in the sky, instantly killing all 7 astronauts on board. A decade after this horrific incident occurred, 2 large pieces of the spacecraft's left wing were discovered on Cocoa Beach on the east coast of Florida. Unfortunately, although the wings were a surprising find, they didn't provide officials with any new information on the cause of the explosion. The fragments are now on display at the Kennedy Space Center, located 20 miles north of Cocoa Beach, alongside other spacecraft hardware and personal items from the astronauts. Number 3. Newquay, Cornwall. Tjipetir Blocks. In 2012, Tracy Williams was walking along a beach near her home in Newquay, a town on the north coast of Cornwall, England, when she stumbled upon a curious block of what appeared to be rubber. Engraved across the front was a word she'd never before seen: Tjipetir. Intrigued, she took to the internet to share her find and ended up connecting with other people from Sweden, Spain, and the Netherlands who'd also found Tjipetir blocks at their local beaches. What was going on? Williams and UK authorities did some investigating and discovered the blocks were most likely not rubber at all, but gutta percha, gum from a tree native to Malaysia. The material, once used to make items like golf balls, picture frames, and jewelry, was produced by a rubber plantation in West Java, Indonesia named, you guessed it, Tjipetir. There are records of the Titanic carrying these gutta percha blocks, so it's conceivable that, after the ship sank, they were dispersed to sea. More likely, the blocks came from the Miyazaki Maru, a Japanese liner known to be carrying Tjipetir blocks when it sank during World War I. Number 2. Brittany, France. Garfield Phones. In the 1980s, novelty Garfield phones began mysteriously washing up on the shores of Brittany, France. For over 30 years, confused locals plucked dopey-eyed cat heads, tangled cords, and waterlogged receivers off the coastline. It wasn't until environmentalist Claire Simonin-Lamour began investigating Brittany's Garfield phenomenon that in March 2019, the decades-old mystery was finally solved. The phones were coming from a lost shipping container tucked into a coastal cave. We found this incredible cave that was 30 meters deep, and right at the end the remains of container. Simon and Lemore told Euronews. At the cave opening there was a Garfield lodged in the roof, so we knew we weren't mistaken, and this was where they were. That shipping container remains inaccessible today, and no one knows how many phones it still contains. So for a while, at least, there's still a chance you could find a Garfield phone while exploring the coastline of Brittany. Number 1. Gulf of Ob, Siberia, Snowballs. In October of 2016, thousands of perfectly round snowballs appeared across an 11-mile stretch of beach on the Gulf of Ob in Siberia. According to Live Science, the snowballs range from the size of a tennis ball to almost 3 feet across. Naturally occurring and extremely rare, the snowballs formed under unusual conditions. The lay of coastline, as well as the outside temperature, has to be just right for small pieces of ice to collect and become shaped into spheres by rolling wind and water. While the snowballs that appeared on the Gulf of Ob took nearby villagers by surprise, the phenomenon is not unique to Siberia. In 2010 and again in 2015, giant snowballs were spotted in Lake Michigan and Maine, respectively. Make sure you stay watching our next related video to discover more amazing videos, and also subscribe to our YouTube channel and leave a like on the video. If you have any comments, please leave them in the comments box below. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.